Welcome to the Dingus Den for a start of a brand new journey where we're going to be covering the Energon universe. And you know what? We decided to start with one that we haven't read before called Duke. Started the G.I. Joe side of the universe. So, you know what? I'm excited to get into this. And let's just dive right into Duke.
Welcome to the Dingus Den.
All right, welcome to the Dingus Den for a brand new episode of the Comic Club, where this is going to be kind of like a series within itself, you could say, as we're going to be working our way through talking a bit of the Energon universe books. The big universe that Robert Kirkman's been heralding, with Transformers, G.I. Joe, and then he has his own stuff going on in space as well with Void Rivals, but I know specifically we're really wanting to delve into the Transformers and G.I. Joe side of things. And we've both kept up with the Transformers series, but I don't know about you, but I haven't read much of the G.I. Joe side of things.
Yeah, I've got a couple of the single issues, but I haven't got a chance to dive into them yet. So yeah, it's been I've kind of missed it, but I've, like you said, I kept up with all the Transformers, but with the G.I. Joe side, no, I've not been keeping up with it.
Yeah, so this is something that I decided would be a good place to start since it would be new for both of us, and you were gonna be alternating between talking about the G.I. Joe and the Transformers stuff the best we can, and so here we are to talk about the 5-issue limited series called Duke, which is written by Joshua Williamson, which is I'd say right now he's known for doing a bunch of stuff over at DC right now. I'm a fan of his stuff that he's done over at DC. I actually really think his current Superman stuff right now is really good, and so I'm a fan of the writer. So it's one of those like names that you see attached, and I'm like, oh, I bet it's good because of that. But I never checked it out before this because I thought about getting it when it was coming out, but then I remember looking at that first issue and thinking I wouldn't like it because I've never been into G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
And G.I. Joe is just one of those things, not one of those things I disliked, but it was one of those things that I looked at and I was like, it's just not the vibe that I care for, like the whole military versus whatever sort of vibe, I think I've grown to it a bit, and there is a reason why I have grown a little bit to G.I. Joe, and we'll get onto that in a future episode when we reach Cobra Commander. But but this though, overall though, I thought it was just a great miniseries. It's only 5 issues. I when I read through this last night, I had the intention of, I'm just going to read 2 or 3 of them, just to so I wasn't rushing to read through it before us talking about it here. And then next thing I know, I read through this in just one sitting, and it was I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good thing, and it's one of those things that I enjoyed so much that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go check out a episode of the show, and I'll watch maybe 5 minutes of the original show and then fell asleep during it last night. So what were your overall thoughts on this?
Well, growing up, G.I. Joe was a big part of my life. The toys, the cartoon, the movie came out when I was a kid. So for me, this was like walking down a trip of nostalgia. The writer definitely knows and loves G.I. Joe. And to start off with Duke, I think was really genius move, because Duke is the number one Joe, and he always has been. And this one turned him into... It's been a while since I've seen the cartoon. I Duke in this series, it's just like Captain America without the super soldier serum. Like, this guy is the top soldier, uncorruptible, and that's kind of what Duke was. Duke was this man of honor, uncorruptible, the lead Joe in this already crew of crazy specialized people. He was, like the top. So this really did a great job of not only establishing him, but also opening up to the nostalgia of the whole G.I. Joe universe. So I thought it was a great launching off point. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, but I read through all 5 issues, just bam, 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 and I really enjoyed reading it. And it's like, oh, Roadblock, oh yeah, I know that. Oh, this is awesome. And good action, good art, and they really intertwine the Transformers and Duke really well, with them only showing up in a flashback. So it's it's done very well. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure. Something that we both said is that this, it's a great just sit down and knock it out really easily. Like it flew by so quick, just because it was really action packed. It knew what it was going for, and for me, even though I didn't know, there's these obvious beats in the story, where it's like, oh yeah, there's this big character that's in the story, but I didn't know who they are. But it's still like, I still got the vibe of like, oh, that's their role in the, like, what they are though. Like specifically, I don't know exactly where it ended because I read the trade version of it, and it didn't specifically mark the issues, but like, how you read comics, you can kind of tell, like, when an issue ends. But anyway, is that like the end of issue 2 or 3? There's this big bad guy that they showed, but that bad guy, I was like, I don't know who this is. I want to try to find.
Was it Baron Blood, or was it? I think
it's
because Blood was like at the end of the 3rd issue, I think. Not 100% sure on that.
Yeah,
and there was Destro also. Destro
was really cool. That's one of the characters. Since we're talking about Destro, he was set up through the whole thing as like this shadowed figure there that was just showing around here. This is a really good picture of him there, which is pretty cool. Being able to, we having these bits of just seeing Destro right there like that.
Yeah,
it was nice. And I'd like too that, like, I knew that even without me being a G.I. Joe fan, I knew it was Destro though. I think mainly because I know that he has a comic later on, so I knew what he looked like, and I bought some of those for us to read later on. But this was a really cool lead up to his like character though, and this series, I will say, ultimately made me more excited, not just to read more of the G.I. Joe stuff, but specifically Destro, because they made such a big deal with his character, which was awesome, which I really liked. I'm working on trying to find the character there really quick here, because this guy right here, Major Blood.
Yes, Major Blood, not Baron Blood, Major Blood, yes.
Yeah, this guy, they set him up to be a big baddie, and he was that persistent sort of nuisance, you could say. But then also, he is a good, interesting threat to the whole ordeal.
I love that they keep the spirit of the old costumes too. They didn't like try to update them and make them more realistic for today's time. Like it was very much like the old toys. I think Major Blood's a little different, but Duke was like the tan shirt and the pants, like it was just almost like it was jumping off the page.
Yes, yeah, all that stuff comes from before me, but I know it's a time where things were different, where it was all about toys to sell it. The comic was made to help sell the toys and stuff.
Oh yeah. Everything they did was thinking about toys. Every vehicle. I mean, they used to make toys out of everything, like Star Wars. G.I. Joe, everything. Like a lot of stuff coming through. Reading this, I was like, oh, I had that as a kid as a toy, and I had that tank as a toy. And
yeah. Anyway, just to bring this back to the beginning though, because we were jumping around a lot after just getting our major or main opinions on this. What I say, we got this awesome way to really open up, and I think this page in particular really shows the great way that it does sort of open up this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought it was awesome there to begin by showing him like, oh look, there's this we see the hero of Duke, and it sets up who Duke is, and then immediately shows his sort of like downfall, right?
Yeah.
which I really liked. Being able to see that. And it set up for an interesting character to follow the entire time. And then what made it even more interesting for me is, I'm a big Transformers fan, and when we get the big Transformers connection right off the bat here, Starscream right there, it was interesting because it's one of those things that Duke was the whole time searching something where he thought this is a weapon from some place, which he the whole time was thinking Destro made him. But it's interesting too because it's like, well, he's uncovering this plot that we don't know where it is, although we know what he's searching for. It's definitely not that the entire time.
Yeah.
And so
we were in on it, and he wasn't there. The audience knew. It's like, oh no, we know what's going on here, dude.
Yeah. But it was cool though, as you were talking about the flashback of seeing Starscream here, and what drove him mad was this one moment right here of seeing the plane turn into a robot and back.
Yeah.
And how cool. And I love how brutal it is too when we actually get to see him. Is it? Yeah, right. Yeah, I love this right here. Specifically the splat that you see. And I love how creative it is right there as well, where it's the reflection off of his visor. Like, that was one of my favorite panels on this. And also, like, how gruesome of seeing, like,
your friend.
No, just his friend, but like, Starscream's made to be one of those characters that's always kind of like the laughing stock, Versus now, like, you actually get to see him be brutal there. And the first bit of Transformers when we get into him, like, it really does show Starscream in a great, brutal way. And so I'm excited to get into those. But to this, there's just connections throughout this whole book that I really enjoyed, on top of just being a very fun, easy to read story. That ultimately I was like, oh, even though I'm not a G.I. Joe fan per se, it makes me want to read more and makes me want to get more into it in certain ways.
I mean, and it's a violent act, but it's also a very simple act. It's just this robot kills a soldier, but because of the way Duke is, no collateral damage, leaves no one behind.
Right.
And here comes this threat that he doesn't know anything about. Yeah, it would drive a man like Duke wild.
Right.
And it does. It's like, I need to find out what this threat is.
Yeah.
He killed my friend. I need to destroy it. So it was really great little motivator with including the Transformers without making it bogged down with Transformers in every issue. It was, no, this is a Duke story, but he's motivated by an act by Starscream that would drive a man like Duke just nuts.
Oh, yeah. And having this thing where he's talking to, what's his name there, Hawk.
Yeah.
Which is just a really good way to begin this, having this whole conversation with him there. And, it really sets up this whole other side, too, of him not really believing in this country that he fought for all these years that we just got set up for, right? He got set up to being that perfect war hero like Captain America, but then now he's starting to distrust what he's fighting for here. Also, feeling to what he's going after through this whole series, which is an interesting sort of take on it, you could say. And so I thought it was just pretty good here. And then, obviously with him being more on the run, it turns into people hunting him down. And so this is where a couple of the other connections of who starts hunting him down, which we see revealed right there. The other American heroes. Who do we get to hunt an American hero? American heroes, aka Stalker and Rock and Roll. And so, like I said, this when I was reading it didn't really mean much to me. Since I was like, oh yeah, I get it. You have your stealthier type and your loud type there, but
Yeah, when I saw him, I was just like, oh, Rock and Roll and Stalker. I was like all friggin' excited. And what I loved about with G.I. Joe's, what was cool is they're all specialists in their own way, but they all have like these unique uniforms based upon whatever they are. are, like their personality. So like there's a cowboy pilot and he wears a Western style vest and has a cowboy hat on. And it was like everyone has like their own little themes and stuff when they get going.
Yeah, no, I do like these costumes, especially now that I'm looking at them more. Having the whole rock and roll, having all his bullets strapped all around him there, and so crazy to think if that's just like one long thing that feeds into his gun and unravels slowly,
Yeah, like I was in the army and they would get pissed if you went shirtless into battle, but in G.I. Joe world, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, no, like I said, I wasn't really into army stories generally, but this one I thoroughly enjoyed. I got a little bit of Sing Duke's Friend here. Here's the rock and roll in action. I really like this one.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
He's got the boombox behind him to play music while he's fighting.
while there's booms going on too. That's funny. I didn't catch that right offhand of the boombox there. Boombox with the booms right there. That's funny. But yeah, no, like it's just really action packed, which is what made this go so quick. And I think this page in particular is a really good look at it right there.
Yeah,
the bangs and the crashes, and it's just for me is one of those rides that it's like once it started, it was hard to put down. They then get put into prison. What did they call this place again?
It was called the Pit.
The Pit,
and it was a decommissioned base that was still that they were using to hold them into place.
Yeah, there's some pages that was really cool, like this, where it got to see it while they're still, while they were going down there and getting to meet this person. What was her name again?
Baroness.
Baroness, right? And she is an intriguing character. One of those unpredictable characters they weren't really sure what to expect from, and so I thought it was cool having her character in this. And yeah, here's a nice shot kind of setting up her character right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I did appreciate having something like this because they set up like, oh, Baroness, you're really important. And they actually gave a little bit of background for, which was really needed for somebody like me who doesn't know any G.I. Joe stuff. And so I definitely appreciated this bit. But then they also, I don't know how much she twisted certain things here and there. But it just seemed intriguing of, this sort of character that was with it.
Yeah, she's kind of like Black Widow before Black Widow turned good. Like the Baroness is one of those characters that she's evil, but she can also she's a survivor, so that means she can be swapping teams if she needs to.
Sure. She gave me the vibes of how you think of Catwoman a lot, right?
That would be a good. That's a good comparison. Catwoman would be a good comparison.
Yeah, Catwoman you just kind of don't know much about sometimes. And this is one of those great moments that definitely stood out to me. You see this epic battle between Major Blood and Duke here, and he's about to pull the trigger right there, and then there she is. She comes in, and now she's like, well, he was taking this bounty, now you're my bounty. And you're like, wait, what? And so it was pretty cool, and it's just all out battle here. Sure, maybe the action stopped for a moment once they were in prison, and then it picked right back up.
Yeah.
It was cool to see. They just knew what they were doing. And as I just keep on saying, it was just a really good action story. There's blood back there again with that and I. That was a little brutal right there. Just seeing him. Like I said, he was around the entire time pretty much.
Yeah,
just being that nuisance. And I really like this page as well. I like the really well drawn. I don't remember who the artist is for this. They did a great job.
You check for you here, but yeah, I really enjoyed the art. It was really well done. It catches the action good.
Yeah, it really was. Once we get to the end, we had these big like robots that were this robot sort of dude. I wasn't like I said, I'm not quite familiar with what it was, but so like secret weapon robot.
Yeah, it's like robot troops that Destro created.
Nice.
Yeah, Cobra's always kind of create new war weapons along those lines. Tom Riley.
Shout out to Tom Riley. I don't. That's not the name I recognize right off the bat, but he did really good here, I thought. So that's awesome. Here we got the actual full reveal of Destro there, which is cool to see. And so, yeah, that was just pretty.
I love it when he headbutts Destro, and Destro's all like, "What are you doing?" Like, yeah, right. You gonna headbutt him. Duke is always punching and headbutting metal.
He's like, "What do you think you're doing? Are you insane?
Like, are you insane?"
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, no, I thought it was just overall like it was just a good. In a way, it was really self-contained as well, right? Like we got the whole setup of Destro right off the bat, and it never went away from what he was going for the whole time. We just got a couple players that we talked about already with Blood and Rock and Roll, and I don't remember the other guy's name. Predator-like dude. When that was in the. In the mix there, but like it was just a really nice self-contained story. Ultimately, though, as you touched on, it was set up as everything went on. When he blows up the bad guy's base, Destro's base, he wakes back up, as we can see right here, and then this is where we get the future setup of like, oh look, here's this. I'm pretty sure that's Scarlet right there, right?
I think that is. I'm not 100% sure, but if I had to guess, it's Scarlet.
Yeah, that's what I thought, since Scarlet's, like, how they did these miniseries is they did the 2 good guy and 2 bad guy. Like, they had the good guy and bad guy going along at the same time. So they had this Duke series and Cobra Commander at the same time. So next time we talk about G.I. Joe, it'll be Cobra Commander, since that was the other thing to go alongside this one.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back
parallels nicely, because Cobra Commander is, like, the head of Cobra. Right. So like he ends up being the leader of everything. Even Destro bends a knee to Cobra. So it is kind of good because those two will parallel off of each other. I am kind of surprised that they didn't involve Cobra Commander and Duke's origin in this, but having the origin be Starscream, I think is also good. Yeah. Because like even when he was smashing that robot, he's having flashbacks in his mind of his buddy being smashed by Starscream. So it's like that's affected him so much. Like he's almost like he's going to be one of those guys who's going to be racist against robots, like clankers or whatever. Like,
well, it's interesting because, by the way, how you're talking about it, you're making it sound like Cobra Commander is part of, like I said, since I don't know anything about G.I. Joe, that like he's a big part of why Duke is Duke with his.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember the cartoon as well because it's been a long time. Sure. But that would be as someone who's trying to be a writer, you would one inclination would be to tie those two together somehow. But at the same time, though, not everything has to be tied together when you're making a story. You don't want to be like, oh well, the bad guy is the hero's third cousin's wife's boyfriend. Right? Like, it's like we don't. You don't have to make everyone interconnected through their personal deals. So
I get that. That's what I do really like about this, though, is that they are having a good guy side set up, a bad guy side set up, so we get to know each of those individual sides. And then G.I. Joe is. I mean, I don't know exactly how it's going to be portrayed, but I hope it's a good mix of both sides, since we get to see both sides before,
Yeah.
So we'll see.
It's a lot like Transformers, where you get to see there's all sorts of Decepticon stuff going on as well as Autobot.
Sure.
It's the same thing with G.I. Joe. Like a G.I. Joe episode would be spend half the time with Cobra. and what their interminglings
Yeah,
and
cool.
Destro trying to get one up on Cobra and you just like how Starscream is always trying to take over from Megatron and stuff along those lines.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. I am looking forward to getting into those. I hear those GI Joes are good, and I haven't been disappointed yet by anything in this Energon universe, which has been really good.
Yeah.
Speaking of the universe as a whole, we do get our tease of them intertwining things even more, where Duke here at the very end finds out about Optimus Prime. But obviously, at this point, though, he knows that he turns into a truck, but he doesn't know the difference between Autobots and Decepticons.
Yeah. When he finds out they're sentient beings, they weren't created by an evil government or organization. There's good ones and bad ones. I can imagine after a bit of a dust up with Optimus, it won't take long for them to see Optimus as a good person.
Well, it's interesting because we're talking about this at a time where they just announced not long ago, because this is what prompted us to start doing these, is the first main crossover of the two in the G.I. Joe. Or is it Transformer? Or I don't remember which it is that they're in. But they are crossing over. I think it's in the G.I. Joe one. That Optimus is going to be in there.
Yeah, okay.
And so I'm excited that that they each had a solid base, of setups. And so it's exciting to see that they are starting to cross over some. So we'll see what happens, though, with it. Definitely looking forward to seeing where everything goes. And in this trade version as well, they included a little bit of tease. Have you read the Energon Universe special that came out?
No, I have not. I need to. One thing I love about doing these review shows now is that I start actually force myself to take time to read. So yeah, I'm interested. After reading Duke and reading the Transformers, I'm interested in reading the other G.I. Joe stuff and also delving into the Energon and the Void stuff, because the Void stuff's connected to this too, right? It's in the same
somehow. I read the first arc, and there's definitely Transformers stuff in there. That's something we can definitely touch on later on, because I'm definitely a little bit behind on it, but I do want to catch up on it as well. So it's really interesting stuff, though. At least I find it interesting, but I also just like sci-fi stuff. So
yeah.
But
they're great franchises to mix together. Like, they really are. I know they were planning to do it in the movies at the end of Beast Wars, I believe
Rise
it is.
Of the Beast, yeah.
Rise of the Beast, the extra credit scene. They mentioned G.I. Joe. There was a development of a relaunch of the G.I. Joe movies, and they were going to be connected with the Transformer movies. So it'd be interesting to see if that's still going on. I don't know how Hollywood changes its mind.
Yeah.
Budgets flying around. This was probably prompted in order to help prepare or see the interest in Transformer G.I. Joe in other media. I know they're going to be doing a Invincible style Transformers cartoon on Prime based upon the new Transformers comic books.
Yeah.
So if they're doing that, there's a good chance we're going to see G.I. Joe too, and that'll spring off too. So if we're getting like adult PG-13-ish to rated R Transformers and G.I. Joes, I'm all in. Like, sign me up. Like,
I remember seeing that show announcement, because I think I think it was a focus of like the two of them together, like an Energon Universe show. I thought.
I'm not 100. You're probably right. You're probably right.
But anyway, point is of it being based off of this universe, which has been excellent. It's very exciting to see where that'll go.
Yeah.
This what's special about this trade version too was that it includes a little bit from a story of the 2024 Energon Universe special, which added some more interesting stuff. I'd recommend giving this bit a read. But without saying too much on it, it gave some very interesting setups for what's to come. Essentially recruiting Baroness, as we were talking about, and revealing that main, was he a colonel that he was talking to at the beginning?
Yeah, Colonel Hawk. Colonel Hawk is kind of like the head of the G.I. Joe, kind of like the mediator between the government and G.I. Joe, and Duke is the field commander of G.I. Joe. So he's the one's out in the field with the troops, and then Colonel Hawk is more of the upper echelon type.
Got you. Well, Colonel Hawk, it also showed that there's more stuff going on with him that I'm very intrigued by for when we actually get into talking about this G.I. Joe stuff, or reading the G.I. Joe stuff, because, yeah, he might be a shady dude. So, so yeah, but yeah, no, overall, though, I think I've pretty much said what I wanted to say about this. Like it was just a very nice, quick, easy read. Definitely worth reading. You can find the trade easily, a local comic store. You can probably order it easily off of Amazon or wherever you want to buy your comics, as well as any digital readers can check it out on Global Comics on their subscription. I think all the Energon Universe stuff is on there.
Yeah,
which is how we're reading a bunch of it. So, yeah. What about you?
Yeah, it's well worth the pickup, either Amazon physical or if you like digital. Global Comics is running, I believe, a special for an entire year for like $49. It is the best app in America to read comic books. Marvel, DC, Image, IDW, all of them are on there. And it is well worth the time to read it, especially if you're a nostalgic fan of G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be just like a fun roller coaster ride through memory lane. So yeah, it's well worth the read. It's well done. Artwork's good. Pacing's good. Just like if this was like a TV series, I'd be giving it like 10 for 10. It was nice all the way through. Good. I mean, just fun entertainment. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not Shakespeare, but it was just done really well. The setups was done really well. The characters feel like the characters, and I enjoyed it really a lot.
Yeah, I think so very much. I think, as I said earlier, it was just a really nice, self-contained, but also a nice setup to all this stuff too that we're talking about. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where everything goes. It has me more excited to read these future books. For the most part. So yeah, we'll be doing more of this Energon Universe stuff. But before then, where can the people find you at?
If you search me up on YouTube, I'm at Lunchbox Comics, all one word. If you go put in Lunchbox Warren into any of the social medias, I pop up. I usually tag all my stuff with hashtags Lunchbox Warren, so pop up there. If you have the Global Comics app, you can find me under Lunchbox Comics, or The Adventures of Sig and Joe, which is my comic book series. That is on there too. And it's if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll see live drawing as well as some gaming and some other stuff coming down the road. So,
heck yeah! Make sure you check out Warren here, as well as if you made it this far, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Make a good growth here as of recent. So, appreciate all the support, all the views, and everyone tuning into all this stuff. So, until next time, see you all later for more comic talk and such. So, laters, everyone. Bye.